I get it. It was Riri all along. What's going on, guys? The Ironheart series is now on Disney Plus. It's come and gone, and I know you've probably seen a lot of the negative reviews that have been online, but I'm here to talk about whether they're really justified or not. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Let's get right into it. So all the hate, is it really justified? Short answer, yes. It's not really a good show.
That shit is a 2-pack of ass. The fuck are you talking about? That shit stinks.
And to be honest, there were probably only a few moments that were just okay. Instead of talking about each episode one by one, I'm just going to talk about a few things they could have added or even taken away to make the show a little bit better. This will be different from my normal reviews. It's totally unscripted, just my thoughts. Honestly, because of how disappointed I was with the series, I didn't want to spend too much time writing out a full review for this. And even though it isn't a full review, I'll still give my nice guy score at the end. Alright, first up, I think there should have been more of an explanation of why Riri didn't contact Wakanda. Her introduction was obviously in Wakanda Forever. After risking her life, it just seemed really weird that Wakanda wouldn't try to reach out in some kind of way to help her. I mean, we saw so many scenes at the beginning of this show that showed her trying to make money. She was limited on resources, but she literally had her biggest resource in the nation of Wakanda. It just seemed kind of weird that they left that plot point kind of hanging there. I don't know. I just really would have liked to see that get addressed in some kind of way. I get that the series was postponed back in 2022, but considering Riri is more of a lesser known character, I think it would have really helped it if they connected it back to Wakanda Forever, just to give the audience more of a refresher of her story up until the point of the first episode of the series. Another key point that I think would have helped the series is exploring Riri's relationship with her dad, or at least fleshing it out a little bit more. A lot of what we see of Riri's relationship with her father was through flashbacks. I just felt like we needed more emotional weight, a little bit more backstory to it. There are a few scenes and flashbacks showing Riri and her father working together. I really like that. I would have liked to see a little bit more of that. I feel like I speak for a few people when I say the audience can connect to losing someone, a loved one, maybe a father or maybe a mother. So I think they should have played into that a little bit more and showed how driven Riri was by being inspired by her dad. I think that would have helped a lot more. The next addition I think would have really helped was having Rhodey be in the series. He didn't have to be in the entire series, but maybe a cameo. Now, honestly, I didn't watch Secret Invasion, but from what I know, he's been replaced with a Skrull. Even having the Skrull show up in some type of mentor form, that would have added some level of mystique in a way to the series, or at least for the characters in the show, particularly Riri herself. Seeing someone who's worked close and is best friends or was best friends with Tony Stark, I think that would have helped to drive more of a connection between people in Tony's camp and Riri herself. I just honestly feel like you can't have an Ironheart show without including an ally of Iron Man himself. Another addition, and what I feel like is one of the most important ones, actually make Riri feel like a hero. I can deal with Riri getting kicked out of school or even doing people's homework, selling them test scores, things like that. I can deal with all that. But what I can't deal with is her just letting a person die. And if you've seen the series, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, obviously, spoiler alert, I believe it happens in episode 3. One of the members of Parker's crew, John, his cousin, him and Riri are fighting, and there's a moment where one of the buildings or one of the areas that they're in, it starts to fill with a toxic gas, and ultimately John suffocates. Riri gets in her suit, dips out of there, and tells Parker the bad news that his cousin just died.
Riri, you there? Do you see him? Did he make it out?
I'm sorry, he's in one of the greenhouses and he's not moving. I'm so sorry.
Now I understand, from Riri's standpoint, you were literally fighting for your life.
I'm fighting for my life.
And I guess the alternative would have been if John survived, he outs Riri and she maybe gets killed by Parker. But if you're trying to portray to us that this character is supposed to be a hero, me personally, I just believe she should have done everything she could to make sure his life was saved and dealt with the consequences after that. I mean, she put herself in this predicament. Again, I go back to the previous edition that I mentioned at the top of this list. She really didn't need to do any of this in the first place. She had her biggest resource in Wakanda, and she didn't utilize it. Instead, she'd rather commit crimes and get money that way. It's just hard for me to believe that this character is portrayed as a hero when she's doing, at the very least, quasi villainous things. I just thought that was a bad look for the character. I think making the series a little bit longer, maybe 10 episodes max, would have helped to flesh out characters a little bit more. I felt like there were characters that got introduced so quickly. I really didn't care about much of them, especially the ones in Parker's crew. Making it a little longer probably would have helped to flesh out Riri a little bit more and even help me connect with her character. We could have kept some of the mistakes she was making in the show and developed a story arc where she sort of went on a redemption path to becoming a better character. Alright, so let's talk about a few things that should have been taken out of the show. First thing, take Riri out of Parker's crew. Again, I go back to my first point that I mentioned in the additions. Riri did not need to be a part of this crew. She didn't need to make money with them. She had a resource in Wakanda that was sitting right there for her, but she failed to use it. I thought being a part of the crew definitely didn't show her in a positive light. If anything, she should have just went against them, and it should have showed how versatile she is as a genius. And what I mean is, considering the people of the crew had their own personalities and talents, I thought it would have been pretty cool to see a few episodes where Riri faces off against each member individually, showing how versatile she is and adjusting against their different skill sets. Another thing they should have cut out was including Ezekiel Stane. We really didn't need to see him. To me, he was an irrelevant character, and I don't think his ties to Tony Stark through his father made him relevant at all. He shows up in the series, gets on a villain arc, becomes good again, and then he's done. I thought that part should have just been taken out. Now, this last one is sort of an honorable mention, but I felt like including Mephisto was just a waste. I thought it was used as something to get the audience hyped, but this is a character that has been teased for the last 4 or 5 years. I felt like he should have shown up at the beginning, or at the very least the end of Phase 4. I'm fine with Sacha Baron Cohen playing him, but it was just Mephisto showing up was very underwhelming. It was honestly one of those things where I felt like if it wasn't Mephisto and it wound up being just anybody else, I would have been even more intrigued. But those are a few things that I felt like they should have added or taken away. There's so many other things that are wrong with this series, but I won't get into it. There's tons of videos out there that talk about mostly what didn't work. I don't think it'll get a season 2, and it shouldn't. I think the next time we'll see Riri is probably in Doomsday. You know, I think it's weird that we actually have people out there that think you're either racist or you're a bigot because you don't like this show, and they think that you're genuinely hating on the character because she's black and she's female. That has to be some of the most ignorant things I've ever heard.
I have to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
You can't just objectively not like the show. It's not a good show. It isn't. It isn't a good show, especially to Marvel standard. But of course, there's always going to be those Marvel super fans that'll love anything Marvel puts out. I'm also a Marvel fan, and I've just learned to be objective over the years, especially more recently. Some of the material they've been making just has not been good. But that's it for me on this one. I absolutely do not recommend it, and it's going to get a nice guy score of 3.5 out of 10. But what did you think of the Ironheart show if you've seen it? If you liked it, that's okay. I honestly want to know why you liked it. If you didn't like it, that's okay too. Let's talk about it in the comments below. Remember, keep believing, keep breathing, and as always, keep pushing peace. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
That shit is a 2-pack of ass.